your gut's unhappy and inflamed, your brain's going to be unhappy and inflamed. We're seeing an epidemic of depression, anxiety, PTSD, mental health issues. It's really staggering. And what is causing all this? Well, we're going to get into that a little bit, but we're also going to talk about how do we optimize our brain through nutrients, both from food and through supplements. Now, the brain is one of the most important organs because if that's not working, nothing else is going to work, right? And it's what makes you you, so you don't want to lose your brain. We see so much in our culture that damages our brain. Our processed diet, sugary diet, starchy diet, lack of nutrients in our diet, environmental toxins. Also, we self-medicate all the time to keep our brains working with sugar, caffeine, alcohol. And we often don't connect how we're feeling and how our brain works with what we're doing or what we're eating. So the key important thing to realize is your brain is connected to everything else in your body. And if your body's not working, your brain's not working. And I wrote a book years ago called The Ultra Mind Solution about how to fix your broken brain by fixing your body first. A lot of times we misappropriate meaning to what's going on in our brain with our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions, but it's actually a biological problem. Now, your thoughts and feelings can affect your biology, but your biology can also affect your thoughts and feelings. So it's important to really look at how do we optimize our brain health. And first, you got to take out the bad stuff, obviously, get rid of as many junk foods as you can, or all of them for that matter. Get rid of processed food, starch, sugar, terrible for your brain. And if you want to screw up your brain, eat a lot of sugar and starch. Next one's alcohol. Caffeine, so. I mean, depends on the person, but it can be well tolerated. But for most people, get rid of all the junk and sugar and processed food to reduce your exposure to toxins. Exercise, get your sleep, deal with stress through meditation, yoga. All those are basic fundamental brain health practices. Now, what if you've done all that and you're still not doing great? Well, there's a lot of things we know about how nutrients affect the brain, and you want to upgrade your brain function by optimizing your nutrient levels. And the nutrient levels are so critical to making all the biochemical reactions work. Every second, you have 37 billion chemical reactions happening in your body, and they all require nutrients as cofactors to run everything. In fact, 1/3 of all your DNA codes for enzymes. Enzymes basically are catalysts that convert one chemical to another chemical, and every enzyme needs a coenzyme or a helper enzyme or a cofactor. And those, my friends, are vitamins and minerals. So they're not just making expensive urine, they are critically important. And there's variations in our genetics that determine different needs for different levels of nutrients. So not everybody needs the same amount, but we're learning more about how to customize that. So let's go through what are the top things we need for brain health. What are the top nutrients and what do I do every day? First is a good multivitamin and mineral because it contains everything you need. A lot of the B vitamins, all the minerals, and you want to make sure you take a high quality product that has been manufactured properly, that doesn't have weird fillers and ingredients, that is exactly what it says on the label, that it's been third-party tested for purity and potency, so you're not getting contaminants, you're having actually the dose that it says on the label, and that it's pharmaceutical grade, that it's bioavailable. There's a whole set of criteria I use. And on our website, we kind of share a lot of the best products and the ones I use with my patients. The second important category, other than the multivitamin as a basic foundation, is omega-3 fats. Omega-3 fats are so critical for your brain. Why? Because your brain is made up of mostly omega-3 fats. DHA is about 60% of your brain. And most of us evolved, well, pretty much all of us evolved eating a lot of omega-3 fats from wild fatty fish, from wild animals, wild plants. These are the sources. And now we don't eat much of the wild foods anymore, but that's what we used to eat. And that is what is full of omega-3 fats. And 90% of Americans are deficient in omega-3 fats. And if your brain is 60% omega-3s, it's so important. And we've seen this been playing a big role in many brain issues. We know that omega-3 deficiencies contributing to Alzheimer's, to autism, to ADD, to depression, bipolar disease. There's actually studies using omega-3 fats to treat these conditions, and it improves those conditions. So really important to get the right omega-3 fats. And obviously from food, a can of sardines 3 times a week is great, although most people don't like that. Taking the right supplements, I think is really important. And it's critical for supporting brain function and mood, for regulating your metabolism. It helps prevent diabetes, cools off inflammation, has many, many other functions than just the brain. So most of us should get an insurance policy of at least 1 gram or 2 a day of omega-3 fats. The next thing I recommend is something called magnesium. It's a critical mineral. It's very important in brain function. It calms the brain down. It's great for sleep. It binds to an important receptor in the brain that it is calming for the brain. It helps to relax the brain and also everything else in your body. So about 45% of Americans are deficient. We see this mineral being involved in up to 600 different chemical reactions in the body. I encourage people to take this on a regular basis because we're doing a lot of things that make us deficient: stress, alcohol, caffeine, lack of it in our diet. All these things cause magnesium deficiency. So I would say take about 200 to 400 milligrams, maybe 600 milligrams a day of magnesium glycinate or magnesium citrate if you tend to be constipated. The next important category is vitamin D. Vitamin D plays a huge role in brain function. It's involved in hundreds and hundreds of different gene expression enzymes, and also it's really important in regulating the function of your immune system, cognitive function, and about 80% of us are low in vitamin D. So it's important to make sure we get adequate levels of vitamin D, probably mostly through supplements. It's hard to get it unless you're out in the sun all the time or you're eating tons of food with vitamin D, but it's really, you've got maybe 400 units in let's say some really high quality fish, or maybe even less. And then you actually may need 10 times that. So make sure you get a vitamin D test, check your levels. It should be between 50 to 75 nanograms per deciliter. The levels that are, quote, normal are 20 or 30 on tests. I would not pay attention to that. You really want to be more than that. The next category is a special group of nutrients we call methylating nutrients. And these are so important for brain function. B12, folate, B6. They regulate neurotransmitters, cognitive function, and this key process that's involved in keeping your brain healthy, dealing with oxidative stress, building glutathione. And these methylating nutrients are often very low in our systems. And I see a lot of people with low methylation. And you can check that by checking blood tests like homocysteine in the blood. If you check folate and B12, it's okay, but it's better to check these really high, more sensitive tests. And so checking homocysteine is important. If that's high, for example, if you have a high homocysteine, it can increase your risk of Alzheimer's by 50%. It increases risk of depression. It can be a big factor in autism, in ADD, in bipolar disease, in depression. So really, really important to get enough of these. So you need a good B complex or a special methylating formula with B6, folate, B12, but the right forms. We use methylfolate, pyridoxal 5-phosphate for B6. We use methylcobalamin for B12. So you want to make sure you're getting the right nutrients. The next thing is your gut. Most people don't realize this, but your gut brain is like really one thing. Your brain talks to your gut and your gut talks to your brain. There's something called the gut brain, or the second brain, and it's a nervous system with as many neurotransmitters or more than your brain, and they're in a bidirectional conversation. And so when your gut's unhappy and inflamed, your brain's going to be unhappy and inflamed. So keeping a healthy gut is important. I've talked a lot about that on different podcasts and in my books, but the key is optimizing your digestion, getting rid of food sensitivities, healing gut inflammation, getting rid of SIBO, SIFO, bacterial and fungal overgrowth, and also making sure you take a good probiotic. So those are really important things. So multivitamin, fish oil, vitamin D, magnesium, B vitamins, probiotic. Now, what else can you do for your brain? What other nutrients may play a role and be used sometimes? Well, one of the things that we see a lot is people have low glutathione. Glutathione is an important detoxifier, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and it is so critical to our body's functioning that everybody needs to pay attention to what their glutathione levels are. And the best way to do this is by leveling the amount of cruciferous vegetables in your diet: broccoli, collards, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, arugula, watercress. All these things boost glutathione levels. Now, that's important, but sometimes you need support. And N-acetylcysteine is one of the most important precursors of glutathione. You can take that as a supplement. Lipoic acid, also a great booster of glutathione. And even grass-fed whey. I use goat whey, but these really help boost glutathione levels. Also, your mitochondria, really important. You've got more mitochondria, these little energy factories in your brain cells than almost any other cell. Heart cells, I think, a close second. So you've got 17, 20,000 mitochondria per cell, and they have to be working to produce energy to make your brain work. And low energy in the brain is what we see in autism, in schizophrenia, in often Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease. A colleague of mine, Christopher Palmer, who we've had on the podcast from Harvard, McLean's at Harvard, a psychiatrist, wrote a book called Brain Energy about the deficit of brain energy. So getting your brain energy up is really important. And how do you do that? There's mitochondrial nutrients that are involved in producing energy from food and oxygen. And you need all these steps on the assembly line to make it work. CoQ10, carnitine, lipoic acid, NAD, and many more that we use to help boost the mitochondrial function. And then there's things that the body needs to kind of calm the brain down. I use this product called 200 milligrams of Zen, which is kind of fun. I actually take it at night because I live a crazy life. So it's essentially a GABA, which is the basically like the body's Valium. The body actually makes this, and the Valium binds to the GABA receptors, which is why it makes you calm. But GABA is really important, and it calms the brain down from too much stimulation from adrenaline and so forth. Also, theanine is also important. This is what's in green tea. It's an amino acid in green tea. It can help calm the nervous system down. 5-HTP also can be helpful, which is a precursor of serotonin, and even herbs that I use to sort of help balance the brain function, like rhodiola. So this is really a kind of a simple approach to helping your brain function, get the foundations, make sure you optimize your glutathione, make sure you optimize your mitochondria, try some calming nutrients if you're overactivated, and just to kind of think about what you should be doing. It's really focusing on your lifestyle first, obviously your diet, exercise, stress reduction, sleep, and then we focus on what nutrients we can use to support that. They're called supplements, not replacements, so remember. But the key ones for your brain are multivitamin, magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3 fats, the methylation nutrients, B6, B12, folate, probiotics, maybe a little glutathione, mitochondrial support, and you're golden. If you love that last video, you're going to love the next one. Check it out here. 1 in 4 people have a severe episode of depression in their life in the world. It's accounts for the majority of the costs in our healthcare and all the collateral symptoms that we have from the externalities of depression, like loss of productivity. So